How was your day today?
How was my day? It was quite good. It was quite good. Some interesting things going on. Had some new conversations with a new customer earlier this week, and they got back this morning, and things look positive. So yeah, Fridays we normally get good news on Fridays, so today's been a good day.
Good, good. It's a good Friday. You can enjoy the weekend then.
Yeah, well earned beer, well earned prony, I think.
Yeah, right.
How about yourself?
Yeah, yep. It was good. It was good. Yeah, I was like a little bit researching on you, and then jotted a few questions.
Okay. Oh,
I thought, let me make this 1 hour a little more difficult for you.
oh no, no. I've been brushing up on my SAP supply chain knowledge just in case you go all technical on me.
No, it's not technical at the moment. I have not decided to go full technical. It's like knowing you more from the personal side than on the professional side. Everyone knows professionally that they can see your LinkedIn profile and then they can get to know you, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then it's the other side of you which has taken you through the tough times, which has taken you through the happy times. That is the side which I am really very interested in, and then I hope everyone else would also be very interested in.
Start unpacking.
Okay, so then whatever is your you know the the introduction that you give, we can start with that, and then probably I'll take you to the very beginning of your, even to your childhood, and then we can start from there. First, your introduction, please.
Okay, I'm Dan Barlow. I'm the founder and chief exec of Kaggle, which is a global systems integrator.
Mhm.
Um, as a company, we specialize in delivering SAP end-to-end solutions and data and AI solutions. And more often than not, we deliver both at the same time. Um, we help bring Azure Cloud or other clouds into customers' landscapes and create
Mhm.
hybrid solutions using a mixture of SAP and Azure Cloud Platform under what's called Extend and Innovate as a strapline.
Mhm. Okay, good. So yeah, it's a good start with your professional background. So Dan, how was your childhood? So what did you really do in your childhood that you really liked the most?
Oh, I think I was a bit of a quiet geek when I was at school. So when I was little, I loved science. I loved science and maths, and I loved taking things to bits, figuring out how things work. I think my parents used to despair at the number of telephones that I used to take to bits and couldn't figure out how to put back together again. BMXs, you name it, and anything that was remotely complicated, I'd take it to bits and then struggle to put it back together again. But I think that was just part of a inquisitive child, and trying to figure out how the world works. And yeah, so I was very deeply into science and things like that, mechanics. I used to love things like that when I was at school.
And as far as your education goes, so what did you do in your graduation?
Well, so I did again. I was always majoring on maths and sciences when I did my A levels, and GCSEs, and then when I weirdly I wanted to go into medicine, to be a doctor. Now, I wasn't clever enough to do that, unfortunately. I didn't get the
Mhm.
grade. So I ended up weirdly going um, into taking a degree in economics and finance, which is
Mhm.
really weird. I mean, one thing that I didn't mention actually was, just rewinding back to when I was about, say, I'm guessing now probably like 13, 14. all my friends were getting Amigas and Spectrums and Commodore 64s. That was the era of games consoles coming out. And my dad, he was heavily into computers with work. PCs had just come out. So I wanted an Amiga, and my dad brought home a 286, which was brand new at the time. And then so while my friends were learning about, playing with joysticks and Prince of Persia on their Amigas, I was sat there with a blinking black and white screen with a DOS prompt on it, and typing Win to open Windows up, which was executable back then. So Windows as an application, and within DOS. So it was a very weird time. So I spent all my time with a mouse and a keyboard and DOS, and as developing weirdly from an early age. And it's kind of weird looking back on it now. I was really quite advanced in terms of IT knowledge, and then weirdly I took a degree in finance. I wasn't really interested in computing as a career, so finance and economics. So I did that as a degree, and then when I finished my degree, my first job was in a life and pensions company, and I found it the most boring job I'd ever. I thought, is this it? Is this life now? And then weirdly within that company, I ended up spotting issues with how they, how they operated, and I created databases for them. I created full stack, and I was a full stack developer. I was a business analyst. I was a tester, project manager, all wrapped into one, and I absolutely was in my element, building, understanding the problems that I could see the team had in terms of case management. It was at the time, and I could see, these are just records in a database with child records underneath them. So I was creating loads of databases and optimizing processes, and I loved it. And then I think from there, I spent 2 years in that company in Manchester, and then from there I joined an IT consulting firm called EDS, Electronic Data Systems, which doesn't exist anymore. But back then it was the second biggest IT consultancy in the world behind IBM, and that's when I really cut my teeth in terms of a professional consulting way of delivering projects into a central government organisation. That was in the Midlands. That's when I moved down here from Manchester, and I loved it.
Yeah, and then you just mentioned that your first job was, you liked doing the business processes. You were the tester as well, and then how things worked. You liked that, and then what was your then from the first job? Where did you move?
So I was still in the Midlands, and so I think Midlands in the UK, so around the Birmingham area, and I absolutely, as much as I liked, I wasn't a very good coder, let's be honest. I more enjoyed solving the problems. Mm-hmm. So if someone ever went back and looked at the quality of my coding and things like that, it was probably pretty poor. But you know what? It worked, and I built things quickly, and so I kind of moved away from coding. From my first job after I left EDS in 2004 and set up Kaggle, funnily enough. Because I could see that the market was really good. It just picked up after quite a big depression after the .com bust. So the market was good in 2004. I was getting phone calls all the time from companies, asking for help, and I'd got a lot of skills, and so I went from there, set Kaggle up, and then in 2004 I started working on different projects. Initially as a one man band, one man person. But then, the demand was there, and I started subcontracting work when I needed it, to bring in other people in. And back then, I was more focused on the company, and myself was more focused on data migration. It was focused on data management, data architecture, the whole data space. That was really what interested me, as opposed to actually writing code. And so I spent a few years working for different companies there. Dealing with like things like Siebel and, doing data migrations into Siebel, which I don't think Siebel exists anymore now, as a CRM tool. And I got a big project for working at Alliance and Leicester Commercial Bank up in Liverpool.
Which year this was?
This was just around before credit crunch, so this is probably about 2007. And then that was a data migration opportunity. Again, they were I think they had a big I won't name it who it was. They had a big GSI in leading that, and data migration when you're going from horrible like old mainframe systems, it can be pretty tricky and complicated. Lots of dependency on the end customer to extract, wrangle the data, cleanse it, enrich it. And that's why they were becoming unstuck. So they just needed help, guidance, and a structured way of working. And that's what I was doing there. So that was that project was good. And then I got into around 2006, I think. That's when I got into SAP delivery. So I was working for Birmingham Council. They were putting SAP in for the first time, and so I got involved with that. So that was my first exposure to SAP, data migration again, and integration, master data management, single customer record, single view of organization across enterprise landscape systems. And we had about 20 odd systems, and that was an interesting project. And it I think after that, we got involved with London 2012 Olympics. So again, I mean, interestingly, all of these customers I was working at, they were, I wasn't actually, hunting for jobs. It was more people calling me up when I'm stuck. Can you help? Data's a problem. Can you come and either rescue mission or we've got a problem, we don't have to fix it. So London 2012 was a very similar thing. They had so many data sources in that what was classed as the first digital Olympics, and they didn't know how to deal with all the data sets. You had data from structured SCRM systems. You had data coming from Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, all over the place, and it was all about how do you pull it together, match the data, fold the transactions in, and then start to understand the impact of the campaigns that was being run. So that was really interesting, and I think after that, I got called up to support. We got called up to support a rather large SAP greenfield program for one of the UK's biggest automotive companies, and that was a real beast. I think the problem statement there was that it tried to go live probably 4 times and failed. And one of the key reasons for it failing was data migration. And unsurprisingly, there was it wasn't a shock, because they were trying to move about 35 ERP systems into SAP as part of a single data take on. That was HR, finance, procurement. It was really complicated, and it was not surprising why they were struggling, but we did it. Yeah, I mean, we went live on time. It was predictable, and it was a tough old gig that. And then from there, it's just more projects at that customer. We expanded the company. This is probably going back to about 2016 then, and around then, interestingly, it's back then we were kind of single customer at a time projects with very little overlap between customers, and in 2016, and then it was only about 2014 to 2016. 2016 is when one of the second founder of the company, what I'll probably class as version 2 of Kaggle, was created, because we were 100% UK employees, and it's very difficult to compete with system integrators in the SAP space if you are 100% onshore. You can't compete on price. It's difficult to compete on time zones. Customers' expectations are on blended rates and things. So had to find a solution to how do we scale the company to bring in more different resources at different price points and different.
Which year it was then?
I think that was about 2020, it was around 2015-ish, 2016. And a gentleman called Prashant Patel, who I was working with on that customer site, joined the company and gave him a senior role. And I needed his support to effectively drive the company bigger. So back then we were probably only about, God, I don't know, 10 people, if that, weren't very big at all, but 10 clever
So
people.
in 2015, you said you were 10 guys, right? Before
Well,
Prashant.
Yeah, probably something like that. Wasn't very many. It could have been 20, but in the grand schemes of things, we weren't very big. We weren't very big.
No, I got the point.
Single
So,
customer.
yeah. In 2015, there were like 20 odd guys, 10 or 20. So it could be roughly the figure. So, and then before 2015, before the co-founder joined, how many years were, so you worked alone?
How many years did I work alone? That was probably 2004 to 2009 or something like that. But on and off, I'd bring subcontractors in where required, where I lacked the skills or I didn't want the customer to know that I couldn't do something, so I'd subcontract it to somebody else. They'd do it in the background and we deliver it to the customer. So it's kind of that way of operating.
And then, who was your first employee apart from you who joined?
God, my first employee, that was I think it was Prashant. Was it Prashant? Because there's a difference between employees and and subcontractors. So we had lots of subcontractors that had been with the company for years, but when we went into there's a point where you kind of when you start something off from scratch, you want to do things cheaply and also you don't know how to do things. So it's quite easy to hire someone as a subcontractor. It's quite easy to get your old contractor form that you had from an agency and just copy and paste it, change the names, and then use that as your own way of subcontracting. But but what is your focus? I mean, my focus at the time was delivery. I wasn't a kind of a manager of the business. That was my part-time role. My role was really, I was actually billable. I was working on the client sites all the time. And then in order to get, customer would say, oh, I need a developer, I need this, that, and the other. I'd, go on the internet, hire somebody as a contractor and then subcontract them. And it's very easy. And so you're employing somebody as a contractor is just, a contract, timesheet, pay them at the end of the month, VAT, done, easy, end of contract, terminate. Quite simple.
Yeah.
When you want to start, and then we got to a point, we had like so many contractors, 20 odd contractors. Then it was like, well, actually, do we want to employ these people? Do we want to be a proper business? And then that was when you start thinking, okay, well, how do you employ someone? I don't know. I've never done that before. And so we had to go through it took a long time before the penny dropped that we had to hire people. Then it's, well, what are the obligations? What does an employment contract look like? Do we have to worry about pensions? I think we did at the time. And all those things started coming in. Then it's like, well, what about maternity? What if somebody goes on maternity or paternity? Then how are we going to cope as a company? So it became a big complicated problem of how do you deal with that. So we did delay that for quite some time. And then so I think, but it probably was around 2016, when we thought we had to do it. That's when we already had, and we basically just moved all the people that were subcontractors into Kaggle as employees. And that was when kind of like version 2 of the company was kind of born, I think.
So how many guys you initially brought in, like for full time?
I was probably about 20 odd people, so at least 20 people. At least 20 people. We got a HR person in, and then just kind of help us organize it, because we'd like, I have no idea what to do. I don't know what the expectations are. And then that person helps us get over that hurdle of all of a sudden becoming an employer of permanent staff.
So it was not one employee, there were 20 employees that joined.
Yeah. So I think
Interesting.
the very first person I hired was really as a subcontractor. And I remember going from I can't remember what it was. It was like I can't remember what. So it was something like, all of a sudden you've got to start paying out like hundreds of pounds per day. I can't remember what it was. Let's say it's £250 a day to the subcontractor, and you're thinking, oh my god, that's so much money, because that's coming out of my day rate, and you're thinking, well, what if the customer doesn't renew, and what if I get the timing wrong, and it's the sensitivity of getting things wrong earlier on has such a big impact. Whereas you look now, when you bring somebody in at X many £100 a day, and you get that timing wrong, it's absorbable. So, but the impacts back then, and the worry of getting things wrong, because the impacts are so much more relatively bigger. That's the worry, and that's the risk that you take, is when you want to roll the dice and go down this road.
Yeah. It's very interesting when you hire a contractor, and then it's an interesting feeling, I would say. Uh, Kind of a mixed bag, where you are a little bit worried about that. Okay, this guy was a contractor. I was getting paid from the customer, and then I was paying to this guy. But then now, if he's going to join my organization as a full-time, so I am responsible for everything, even if my customer pays or not, I have to pay him. So that's
Yeah.
an interesting phase once you are full-time freelancer to a company owner. That's, I think, is a good transition to have.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think a lot of people have said to me over the years, "Oh God, Dan, I wish I could do what you're doing." And I think, it is not like driving around in fast cars, yachts, and living on desert islands. It's flipping hard work. It is, lots of things go wrong all over the place. Exactly
Yeah.
what you described. Customers don't pay on time, and I mean that's like I won't even go into that one, but but you're left with the requirement to make those other payments, and it can be tough.
So during that phase, when you initially started, I am sure that you must have faced a lot of challenges. Um, how- Generally, it is for a delivery guy, it is very difficult to get over those challenges because you're not used to those challenges. Uh, what is the one thing that uh, helped you get out of those challenges? Uh, be, be it on the personal side. So what is one thing that always gives you strength to move out from a downfall or a particular hard situation?
What gives you the strength? Do you know what? I think I've reflected. I mean, every company that goes through a growth journey over whatever year is going to face lots of ups and downs, and we've had our ups and downs over the years. I mean, I remember when we lost our first customer, for whatever reason, you think and you've only got one customer, back then, or two customers, and you lose one of them, you're like, oh my God, it's like, what you do. And I think you've got two options. You either just keep going, and you need to have that internal motivation to just keep going and it's not you going, it's you've got to keep the team motivated and going. Don't let them get distracted and demoralized, or you can just give up and walk away. And weirdly, every time I've gone through those phases, I've always reflected back to when I was in scouts. And when I was in scouts, it's a very different time back then. We used to just be, plonked in the middle of a field somewhere in Scotland with a compass and a map and 10p for a phone, and just said, right, phone us when you get to your destination. And, I think it's a very different time back then. Health and safety, there's no mobile phones or anything like that. And you just plonked in literally in the middle of the field. And you've got to walk 20, 30 miles, maybe more than that, camp a tent, sort your own food out, catch it, whatever, drinking water from a stream with a dead sheep in it, maybe upstream, and there was so many instances back then where I just wanted to give up. It was throwing it down, freezing cold, and all you're looking at is a massive mountain in front of you, and no one's going to help you. No one's going to help you. You only you just have to keep going, and it's weird. I do reflect back on those moments where you just have to keep going as a team. Plow on, stop. Even when you don't know what your next move is going to be, at least it's going to, and which direction to go in. Just start walking, just start making those first steps. And even when we've lost it, when we lost that customer and we've had all these other issues, I always think, you just have to keep going. What is, I don't know what to do next, but in terms of vision, strategic direction, but I know that my next footstep has got to be in that direction for today. And that's what's, I think, kept me going. You just have to keep moving. If you stop, then you're dead, I think.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. So so keep moving or keep walking is the
or whatever the analogy is that links with that. But you have to keep going. You have to keep doing stuff.
You have to keep going. Yeah, and then it's good that you always refer to your scout days that give you strength, and they somehow I believe that they have left a mark on in your memories that okay, if someone is not there to help you, you are the only one who has to help yourself.
Absolutely. As much as I say, partnerships are key. If you're a small business competing against big GSIs, you've got to differentiate. You've got to find how you can help partners, collaborate and things like that. But I do always have in the back of my mind that no one's going to help you when you're in trouble. No one's going to come to you. So you've got to be constant. Don't be thinking, with your hand out that someone's going to come and rescue you or anything like that. You've got to try and figure things out yourself. And it's a bit of a weird way of thinking about things, but it always prepares you for the worst, even in the instance when somebody does come and help you. And if someone does come and help you, that's brilliant. But don't assume that people are just going to come to the rescue, because sometimes they just don't.
Yeah, right. So then, are you religious person?
I'm not actually. I don't follow any religion. But you know what? When I always have a joke when we do have problems that I do hope that everybody else's God is on our side. And I respect the fact that everybody's got lots of different religions, and I think it's great. But personally, I'm not a religious person.
Spiritual? Are you spiritual?
Why spiritual? What do you mean by that?
So it's like, do you believe in some power or some energy which is like greater than humans?
I don't know. I don't. I'm a bit of. I think it's my science nut. In the back in my back in the back of my mind. I'd like to. But I don't. But I respect the fact that everybody else does. And you know what? I think we've got so many great, so much culture in this company, so many languages, so many religions, and different festivals and things like that. I think it's great that everybody can experience what everybody else's religious brings to society. I'm looking forward to Bali next week.
Yeah, right. And has there been any time when you thought enough is enough? I'm not going to do this. There are times where you feel so pissed off, and you decide in your head, okay, then I am not going to do this whatsoever. I'm going to shut it down. But then things change, and then it goes, from worst to better, and then best.
Do you know what in order to, you can't come into running a company for the money. You've, you've there's an element of Stockholm Syndrome in running a company, especially an IT company in the current market. It's, it's tough, and you are constantly beaten up, and if you're not going for venture capitalist money and things like that, which we, like ourselves, then all your money goes into the company, growing it. Every 10 grand can go into paying wages, getting new people, marketing, events, things like that. So there's been so many times when you've been absolutely crucified by something, beaten up, run through the ringer, but it's weird. You just keep coming back for more. It's exciting. It's as much as it does beat you up and chew you up as a role and as running a company, and it's very difficult. You'll never have any personal time. You'll never have any decent holidays. You're always looking at your phone. Always. And I wake up at 3 o'clock every morning looking at my phone. It becomes all consuming. But it's just, you get a buzz out of it. You get an absolute buzz. Even all the bad times, which can last for many months. It's that that scouts thing. Constantly climb. You got to keep climbing that mountain. And and what is interesting, we always have an analogy. It's like you always think that when you get to the top of that mountain, then you're going to go on holiday. You're going to treat yourself like, God, this has been so hard. I'm going to treat myself. When you get to the top of the mountain, you then get focused on the next mountain. Oh, I want to do that now. We've solved that problem. I want to do that now. And so you never actually give yourself that gratification of achievement, because you're always pushing yourself to the next thing. So it's so in answer to your question, it's I've never thought, despite all the knockbacks, and that goes for myself and for Prashant as well, he's Prashant, my business partner. He's gone to the UAE to help with the running of our operations in the Middle East, and that runs at 1,000. It probably runs about 5 times. Projects are delivered or expected to be delivered about 5 times faster than in the UK. And so that brings all the challenges that you'd expect from that. And so he's pulling his hair out trying to manage that, but he's equally beaten up as well and equally committed to carrying on.
And then, do you believe in luck?
I think luck is absolutely key. It's we've had, I can't think of any offhand, but luck is luck is an essential component of success. I think it's absolutely essential. We've been very lucky to have certain things happen when they did, in order to move the company forward.
Yeah, and then I personally believe that there are hundreds of things which can go wrong at any given point of time, and there is only only one thing. If it goes wrong, it can take your plan down, right? And so yeah, it is definitely, there is a luck. You have to be a little lucky to be at a place where you are. So that's why I believe, okay, if there is something that I am doing at the moment, and which others are not able to do, so I am little lucky. And then from the luck side, then it goes to like I thank God that, okay, this is thanks to you that I have been at this place. So this is where from luck to God. So this is the transition, at least for me.
I think there's also judgment. I think you can manufacture your own luck to a degree, or maybe a different way of thinking of it is improve your chances of luck. And I think looking at the things that you do, you can I won't go into it. You get what I'm saying. So if you just sit there and expect luck to come to you,
Yeah.
then okay, you might get 1 in 10 opportunities. But if you think more proactively about how to create some opportunities for yourself. We were lucky in Dubai being such a success, but UAE being such a success for us. So we created that luck by opening up operations down there, and that was really timely with some of the problem statements that were coming out for the region. And then it was just those two things joined together, and then that luck created good fortune. But if we didn't think about going down to UAE, then that would and we just sat in the UK, then would be a different outcome for us.
So you mean to say that if you work hard and then if you move in the right direction, you can turn the tables for fortune. Fortune can favor you, and then obviously, fortune, as the saying goes, fortune favors the brave. So you have to be brave, I believe, in order.
Yeah. You've got and that phrase of failing fast, which some people like, some people don't like. If you are not failing, you're not trying hard enough, and you've got to be constantly moving in order. Back to that, got to keep moving, got to keep walking. If you just stand still, then your chances of opportunity will be very small. But if you keep moving, then you'll make mistakes. Yeah, you will, fair enough. But you'll find that through those mistakes, you'll find the right direction and create opportunities, and look, at some point will cross one of those paths that you're walking through.
Yeah. No, I agree with you that you have to keep walking. Otherwise, if you stop, then it's nowhere to go. And I also believe that if you want to be a king, so it is you who has to try to be a king. No one will make you a king.
I think you're right. I think you can't be a king on your own.
Yeah.
In a company, being a king, I don't really like the to be successful. You're successful as a team. You deliver as a team. You interact with customers as a team, and everything you do, all the rewards you get, you should get as a team. So and then as your kingdom grows, everyone's got to feel part of that growth, I think, and that success.
Yeah. And then if you have to do all the things all over again, would you still consider having someone by your side from the day one, like your co-founder?
Definitely, absolutely, definitely. I think what you need is somebody who's got the same thought process as yourself. Like, Prashant's not part of the company with a view of, I want to get rich, or we've just won, we've just been paid from this customer, let's go and spend it. It's got the same mindset of, okay, invest in the company, much longer term horizon of developing and growing the company than a venture capitalist would be, VC company. And so it's those long-term horizons of, and just that that view of keep driving things forward, driving the company forward through adversity and whatever is, and that's what you need. And Prashant also helped with the formation of the India offshore facility, and let's say offshore, I don't like using that word, our India ODC, and that was instrumental. I mean, we've got, I don't know, 300-400 people there now, and that was Prashant was instrumental in helping do that.
All right. And have you ever thought to raise funds, like to grow in other countries apart from UAE, India, UK?
Well, we operate in 11 countries now. We've got, I mean, just this year we've established Mexico, Colombia, Philippines, and Egypt. Again, just to try and stretch our time zone support out, and have we needed to raise funds for that? No, we haven't. We've got quite a good playbook at doing it. It sounds more complicated than it is, but we can set up a new operation in a new country for, I don't know, less than £20,000, and get that running small scale with ability to scale as and when work is transferred to it.
Okay, and then initially it must have been only you who generated business for yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
Gradually the team grew, and so how did the business generation part moved? Because being a delivery guy, so your focus must be more on delivering the good quality work.
Yep.
But business development or sales is a completely different job to be done.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. I'll be honest, we still haven't mastered that. But and again, this is where luck comes in. We were lucky that there were, quite a number of projects that had that were distressed in the data space, whether that's data migration, data architecture, data integration, analytics. So those projects, and the fact that people move around between companies, people just knew, oh yeah, speak to Dan. So then people would pick the phone up to me. So there was no proactive outreach. It was customers or ex-colleagues or ex-friends of colleagues would contact me, and then we get pulled into new opportunities. And we grew very well like that for a number of years. And then it was like, okay, well, what other opportunities are there to grow the company? And that's when we started to speak with product. So the main one was Microsoft. Microsoft had a problem that they'd just launched this thing called Azure as a data platform, and they were really struggling to get data out of SAP into Azure. And they said, Kagul, you're really good at getting data in and out of SAP. Can you build a product that will make it drag and drop, no code, very fast to do, so customers don't have to spend a fortune building bods jobs or Informatica or whatever tool to move the data from SAP into Azure for all those use cases that we now love on there. And that's what we did. So that was our first product, or our second product that we created. We called it Velocity, and then all of a sudden, Microsoft US starts, bringing us into customer accounts, and then we ended up one of our first customers was Walgreens, one of the top biggest companies in the world, and little old Kagul in the UK back then was a supplier to Walgreens. To help them on their analytics, cloud analytics on Azure, and then that's when the light started coming on about, what, if we can find more problem statements out there for companies like Microsoft, like AWS, like whoever, and then build products that helps customers get there faster wherever that there is. Then we're a great data company. We're great at creating products. And we really understand SAP inside out, then that's another route to market. And so we've created a whole range of products now that help customers, sunset BW and move their analytics onto Azure as an analytics platform for companies that are connected vehicles that struggle to get data off a vehicle, or an engine, whatever, an aerospace engine, getting that into the cloud en masse. And so we've created a portfolio of products which companies like Microsoft and others will have the conversations with end customers. That Microsoft will make money off the back of once that product's implemented. So they're incentivized by it. We get introduced to new customers that we probably struggle to interact with because they're so used to dealing with the GSIs, and it differentiates us. So yeah, we've done really well out of creating products as an avenue for sales generation, as opposed to salespeople that will go out trying to find work for us. So we do have that, but it's a very busy market, a busy place out there, of SAP system integrators, and the market's a lot smaller now in the UK. So it's difficult right now. So having these products gives us that edge, I think, and we'll continue to do that.
Okay. And then apart from references, which is the single most important thing you would suggest someone to do for generating the business?
Apart from references, right? If I knew, I'd probably be doing it. So I think things like this, Prabhjot, so I mean, we've done all of it. We've done case studies, we've done events. Events are expensive and they haven't yielded great outcomes for us, in all honesty. We've done events of all shapes and sizes. We've done Gartner, which is a very expensive event. The UKI, the SAP user group events. We've done mailing campaigns, you name it, we've done it. But I look at what do I look at when I'm scrolling online? Yeah, so I'm a consumer as well. I'm a business. I've got my own problem statements, and I like things like this, which is conversational. It's not heavily curated. It's just giving honest conversational insights, and so we'll probably be looking at doing more things like this to try and get messages out there, because I watch things like this. I don't read the emails that come in and get spammed on LinkedIn. It's very noisy market, isn't it, when you're trying to get people's attention, and especially with lots of AI tools out there, which is hammering even more content. Isn't it? Oh, you didn't read my last email. No, I didn't. Oh, you didn't read the last 2 or 3, 4 emails. It's like, So yeah, people are becoming more detuned from a lot of the traditional digital ways of campaigning, and I think this is different.
Yeah. So
time will tell, though. Time will tell.
There's no one thing that you want to point towards that, okay, apart from references, do this to generate more business.
I think do podcasts. Yeah, I think it's a different way. It's a different way of doing of delivering things. I do like animated explainers as well. If you've got a complicated product or service to get to explain, I think animated explainer videos are quite useful. But these are an investment. You've got to spend at least $5,000 on something like that, and then the onus comes back on you to actually think of what is the storyboard going to be, and it can be difficult. It can be difficult.
Yeah. So you have to, as an individual who is trying to set up a business, it is tough, I would say. It's not that easy to win business in this market. So do you have any suggestion for newcomers?
Do you know what? I've seen a lot of friends set up businesses in, if you just take IT away from this, they set up businesses in things that they'd like to do, as opposed to using skills that they're really good at. And so I think if you are going to set a business up, set it up with in an area that you are an expert at, you're really good at. Don't expect to be making any money. In fact, expect to be poor for many years. That's the reality. People won't lend you money to set up a new business. You've got to do it yourself. But you've got to stick at it. You got to stick at it, and it's really exciting. And don't feel demoralised when you hit those brick walls, because you will. There'll be ups and there'll be downs. You'll win your first project and you'll love it, and then you'll have a customer that gets all angry with you and give you a kick in for whatever reason. It might not be your fault, but you just got to take it on the chin and keep going. But yeah, it's an exciting world, and if you have got that buzz inside of you, then go for it. Absolutely go for it.
Yeah, right. And product or services?
Sorry, what was that? What's
Product or services means you want to choose, if you have to pick any one of those. So what would you pick? You want to move towards the services side, or you want to move towards the productization of the service?
Are we talking about IT now?
So yeah, within IT. So yeah.
I think you've got to do both. I think you have to do both. The reason is, if you go down the product line, it is extremely expensive to market a product, to get it in front of people, just for them to look at it. Extremely expensive. And I think, you've got to have a lot of money behind you to spend what will probably be years before you get your first sale. And you're going to have, if you're launching a product for the first time, you're going to have the people throwing rocks at you about product maturity. You've got to have, it's tough. It's really tough to sell a product. And then if you look on the other side, if you're trying to sell services, what services are you selling that as a new entrant, that so many incumbent companies are already doing? And they've got the maturity, they've got all the flashy PowerPoints, they've got the customer references, they've got ISO certifications, all of this kind of stuff which is required to get through procurement. Selling services is really tough. And how do you differentiate yourself? There's the problems that we've had. How do you can say you're niche, but you're niche, but actually you're a brand new company. So companies might not want to deal with you, especially if you're talking about SAP, where customers are expecting to deal with the usual suspects. So it's really tough. Whereas if you've got a product and you're delivering services, you are absolutely differentiating yourself. So you can go into a company with a problem and say, okay, I provide services, but I've also got a product that's going to help you. And all of a sudden, you are looked at very differently by a company that says, I will buy your services, and can you implement this product? And I'll buy. And then the fact that you're setting a company up for services means you're probably better than the GSIs that are there anyway. That's what's motivated you to do it. And then once you've actually landed within that customer account, they can already see the differentiation in your services, and then you'll carry on going. And that's what happened with us. That it really did. But it's how do you get your foot in the door with that customer without offering you? So you can even offer your services for free, and some customers will not be interested. They're like, no, these are multi-billion-pound companies. They're not really constrained by day rates and things normally.
Yeah.
If you can, try and find a product, not a product that you want to build, but a product that is a problem, that addresses a problem statement that's out there in industry. And it doesn't have to be a very big product. It can be a small product, as long as it solves a problem that is not easily fixed with a bit of custom code.
No, I agree with this. I agree with this. So then pick any one of these two, SAP or Microsoft.
Well, I think I'll take the third option. I'll say SAP for core ERP. There is no better product out there. There's no better product out there. Microsoft for cloud data platform. Again, there's no better product out there. And I think if you combine the two things together, you've got a recipe for success for delivering extremely rich hybrid solutions beyond just analytics. You know, you've got AI in there, you've got RPA capability in there, top right in the Gartner quadrant. You know, all the things that. So SAP is great for core ERP. Again, there's no better. It does. It add. You know, we do have dual your RPA capabilities, AI, and things like that. But they're just not. They're just the investment hasn't gone in there, and the maturity is not there. On the Microsoft side, there's loads of investments, billions of pounds of investment that's gone into all the different cloud services, security, the native integrations with your modern workplace solutions like Teams and Active Directory, whatever the new name is. The combination of those two together, you're on a winning streak. You really are.
I was talking to someone today morning, and then he said, SAP needs to have more of the technical architects. They need to have more senior technical architects by their side, because the products are not as mature as they should be. But then, yeah, gradually they are on their path, and then hopefully they'll reach to a level where they intend to be.
If I look at it in terms of what do customers want, if I rewind the clock 10, 15 years ago, in any IT department would say to a business user, SAP's the answer. What's your problem? What's your question? And it was always, oh, we must be wall to wall SAP in everything that we do. And business users are more tech savvy these days, and they're looking for best of breed out of different capabilities and looking to integrate. And SAP, and creating hybrid estates, which is SAP for that, maybe Salesforce, Workday, whatever, Service Max as a FSM and whatnot. So SAP is trying to get out of that. It's struggling, I think, trying to get out of the straitjacket that everything has to sit within the SAP ecosphere, because more and more customers that we deal with just want to have a hybrid estate and integrate. And yeah, I mean, we use Azure Data Platform as a integration hub for those hybrid solutions, and I think maybe over time SAP will be more willing to be part of a more heterogeneous landscape systems. I mean, you look on the data side of things, like the note that came out earlier on this year, which says if you take data out of SAP using I can't remember which one it is, it's some of these different techniques, it is forbidden, and we won't support you anymore. It's like, it's like, guys, come on, it's but you can see there's money in this, isn't there? There's money, but I don't think they're there yet from a capability perspective to tick all the boxes that cloud platforms like Azure can fulfill.
Yeah, even SAP needs to be a little more open with its data and adapt more open source technologies. And then I believe that would be that should be forward for them.
I totally agree. Absolutely agree. Will we get there? I don't know. Hopefully.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, SAP is trying their best. All the marketing, all the product development is going into BTP, and then let's see how it does.
BTP is a great product. It's an absolutely great product, isn't it? To help with that, with creating the hybrid estate.
Yeah. And then how about AI? So do you feel that AI is going to be the next game changer, or is it the game changer at the moment also?
It already is. It's quite interesting. There's hearing and seeing the mixed messages out there of you've got some people that say AI is all bluff, and it's X many years off, and other people saying, oh yeah, it's here and it's revolutionizing things. So where we are, we expanded into UAE primarily for reasons of diversification. That was one reason. But we've been there for 2.5 years now. And what I can say from our experience in UAE is, as I said before, the rate of project delivery is so many times faster than in the UK and the US, which are other major markets. So much faster. The level of adoption and experimentation, production intent experimentation of the very latest technologies is like off the charts. So, like, as an example, when Fabric first came out, or when the latest version of GPT-4 or whatever comes out, they are the first customers globally that want to create a productionized solution out of that, either to use internally or to offer to their customers. UK is like miles behind; it's years behind. So we were delivering kind of contact center replacement solutions 18 months ago. Literally removing real agents out of contact centers and replacing them with voice conversational bots, which can speak in 70 different languages, interact with back-end SAP systems, and the end customer's got no idea that they're dealing with a conversational bot. And we've been doing that for like more than a year ago now, and we're not there in the UK. The UK is not thinking about. I don't know why the UK is not thinking about it. It's not doing it from what I can see, and so the different use cases that are being delivered in UAE is just years ahead of what's happening in the UK and US. So, is it actually making an impact? It absolutely is. And if you look at like some other things like the CIOs that I speak to down in the UAE, they have KPIs as part of their performance packages, their performance scores, which says they need to be converting X many thousands or tens of thousands AI transactions per year. So that's within the CIO's KPIs. Now, I've not heard of anything like that in the UK. So what that is, that's if you replace a telephone call to a person to an AI managed conversational bot, then that's considered one transaction. So they're all on about, like removing all interactions and converting that into AI. I look at the some of the very simple strategic visionary goals that is coming out at government level. So the government down in UAE says we will train 1 million prompt engineers in the next 3 years, and that came out, I don't know, May this year, something like that. So you go and ask any of our UK government what's a prompt engineer, they'll go, I don't know. So they're like so far ahead in terms of thought, in terms of leadership, government level, private sector. They are rolling out AI, faster than we can actually spell it, I think, in the UK. One other interesting, I mean, we won Microsoft Partner of the Year this year, and we won it through a solution that we delivered, which was essentially, imagine all the different government services that you have that are available in any country. You've got driver's license, you've got health, you've got visas, you've got I don't know, property, everything, water, you name it, TV. It's complicated for a person to actually interact with the government for each of those different services, ask questions. You look at Dubai; it's a hugely transient country. So I don't know what the number is, but something like 80 or 90% of the people there are actually foreigners, essentially on a visa, and that speak more than 70 languages. So in order for the government to actually provide an easy way for them to communicate with all their different services, they said, right, Kagul, can you create me a GPT conversational solution, any language, delivered through WhatsApp, through voice or through text, that can become anyone can ask any question, and it will interact with all the different government services and it will give you the answer in the customer's spoken or text language of choice. And that's what we did, and that's what we won the award for. And we delivered that, and it's a fantastic revolutionary way of anyone coming into a country to communicate with the government and ask any question. I'm from the UK. I've got a UK driver's license. What do I have to do to get can I drive on the road in UAE? What do I have to do to get that? Ask the question and it gives me the answer. I don't have to Google it and spend hours. So AI is there, Darren. It's worth going and having a look what solutions are being delivered in that region, because it's 3, 4, 5 years ahead of where the UK is right now. There's a long answer to your question. Apologies.
Yeah. And how do you see supply chain and AI together?
So I think supply chain and AI. I think probably the best best way I think AI can support the supply chain is in all the different complexities that are involved in optimizing supply. So that is, route optimization. It is, the timing of when things are ordered. The shipping. All the different dynamics involved in getting an order for a product, or recognizing you need to order a product from a supplier, getting it shipped through all the different, kind of complexities globally, and getting that there so that your fulfillment is done in time when it's required. There's so many moving parts in that, and when we've looked at that, I mean, SAP's is great at doing that, but SAP doesn't have components like weather or strikes or different other external dynamics than the SAP just assumes everything. What's the minimum sort quantity? How long does it take for it to be shipped? 3 days. It assumes perfection, doesn't it? But when you add in the external dynamics of traffic, of weather, all sorts of other parameters, then it becomes too complicated, and that's when you need AI models to start helping with predictive capabilities or predictive analysis to help you with improving some of the parameters that are used in planning.
Yeah, it is.
So we've done that. We've done that. I mean, we've done for a premium automotive company in the UK. We did that, and what their problem was, how do we the parts that they were receiving, there was a percentage of them, different types of parts, that were damaged and faulty, so they couldn't be used. So and then you're preventing the build of a very expensive several hundred £1,000 car vehicle. So you don't want one widget which costs, I don't know, £1,000 to actually prevent you from completing a vehicle. So it's like, how many of these do I need to order optimally so that I've always got enough stock to take into account for every X number which are probably going to be faulty when taken from that supplier rather than that supplier. So there's again, it's a lot of these things can be done in Joe, the operations guy, in his head, but you probably want to make it more programmatic and more systematically controlled rather than people's judgment.
Yeah, I believe there are more use cases in the supply chain planning side rather than the execution. So,
yeah. I mean, there's picking and things like that. I mean, but I think they're a bit fanciful, aren't they? It's like you can have like glasses based things which will detect you picking up the wrong thing and things like that. But they're expensive to deliver and probably subjective, I would say, in terms of whether they're adding that amount of value to the business. I think AI can add a huge amount of value if you've got global, high volume, large number of SKUs which are being shipped, demanded, globally. It's just ripe for optimization. It's just data. It's data parameters and an AI model set on top of it. It's I wouldn't say it's easy to optimize, but it's an easy process to get involved with just by putting technology and people in there and then coming up with a process to wrap around it, rather than experimenting with other parts of the supply chain.
And which is your favorite tool in AI when someone says, okay, Dan, we need an AI. So which is your go-to tool for AI?
Um, so again, we're a bit purist with that. So we prefer to use Microsoft technology. It's interesting to say the maturity is there. I mean, it's when I say maturity, the maturity of any AI technology is probably only 6 months, 12 months old at maximum. But that just makes you realize the rate of change and rate of progression. So there are the the technologies which we're familiar with and we know gets very good results from different use cases is in the Microsoft technology stack. And then in order to make that successful, we just have to integrate the SAP data with that, and then we can, run our AI capabilities on there, and then whatever results we get back, we can either push that back to SAP, we can push it back to air conditioning units. Some of the solutions that we've delivered is about how do we optimize energy costs in some very large shopping malls and down in Dubai. It's not a case of, you could have a very simple air conditioner unit that says, oh, the temperature's above X degrees, now turn on, now turn off. But what you can be more sophisticated than that and say, okay, what's the footfall? How many people are in there? How many people do we think are going to be in there in the next hour? People create heat themselves. People want to be cooled down. What's the ambient temperature outside now? What's it going to be in an hour, 2 hours? Is it going to be cloudy in an hour? So you don't, when you flick an air conditioning unit on, it doesn't instantly change the temperature of the room. It takes time. There's like an inertia. So all of those dynamics, it's too difficult for someone to work out on Excel or in someone's head. So there's lots of different parameters in there. We can again pull all that data into cloud, pull SAP data in if that's required, overlay an AI model on top of that, and then start doing some predictive forecasting. And then whatever the result is, push that back to the air conditioning unit. So that becomes a part of intelligent so IoT integrated solution linked to the cloud. And those are the kind of AI-based solutions which are not conversational, which we're involved with down there. But I don't know anybody doing that in the UK.
No, it is interesting use cases. You'll find very interesting use cases to solve problems to solve, and then use cases where people have actually utilized AI models to create something which is very valuable.
And saves enormous. I mean, cost of energy now is, whether that's for heating or for cooling. Yeah, it's all doable, and it's not expensive to create these things. It was a long time ago, but how AI has evolved now is all about democratizing that capability to people who are not, super duper expensive data scientists. Not say anyone can do it, but anyone that's trained can do it.
Yeah. No, it's good. So yeah, keeping an eye on my watch. So we have already crossed 1 hour.
Oh,
But
sorry.
yeah, no, that's okay. So, I can continue for 1 more hour. That's okay. But then, we have to honor the time as well. But then I really liked, Dan, talking to you. One of my favorite piece where we spoke about your childhood and where you remember your scout days. That was the most interesting piece because that is where you always go to when you face a problem. So that was my favorite part of this discussion.
And if anyone's got kids out there, you will do. I'd really encourage them to go and do that. It's a great way. I mean, I was a sixer in Cubs, and a sixer basically means that you're the leader of a pack. So at the little old age, I was a leader of a team of 6 people. But you learn those skills. You go camping, and it's a very interesting set of skills that you learn, which at the time might just look like messing about and just keeping getting your kids away from an Xbox, but you really do learn some life um, say life changing, but some skills that will become very important later in life.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Thank you very much, Dan, for your time. It was my pleasure talking to you. Thank you. You took time. More than 1 hour. I'm sorry I exceeded the stipulated time, but
No
then
problem.
I couldn't help myself asking you these questions.
No, it's been great. It's been a trip down memory lane for me. Thank you, Prab. It's been really nice speaking to you.
Thank you, Dan. Thanks for your time. And then probably whenever you are in India, let me know. I'll come down to meet you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Probably in the next month or so, I think I'll definitely be there.
Sure, sure.
Take care, mate. Have a nice weekend. Bye bye.